from Georgie's Gorgeous Gifts, and this is the end of the last video where we made these beautiful foil coasters. Now I purposely didn't top them right up to the top so that I could show you this process. So first of all, we're going to sand them down. So if there's a lot to sand, then I tend to use this. It's a variable speed drill and detail carver and sander. It really does do all sorts: engraving, carving, it's screwdriver, sander, and it's got all the little extra bits to it as well. I mean, you can see there's everything, and it comes with a pack of stencils as well. It also comes with these little diamond grinders and cutters, which is really handy. And it will actually cut through the resin, so it is quite powerful. I think it's about £13. I will put the link in the description if I can find it. All the products I'm using today I will pop in the description. So I've started this one, so I've just gone around the edges literally with this electric sander. So I'm just going to do this one. So as you can see, I'm just lightly sanding all the edges. Now this probably wasn't the best thing to do with these coasters, because when I was sanding them you could see where the foil was sort of not coming apart, but you could see the foil without the colour. So I did have some trouble trying to get that to look right. So I just continued to go all the way around the edges, taking off the little bits. Now it is important to wear a mask while you're sanding resin, because the dust can get onto your chest and make you quite poorly, particularly if you're a resin artist and sand things quite often. Even when you're hand sanding, it's recommended. So I've just put this on quick for you, just while I do all four. Right, now this is a deburring tool, so I thought I'd show you this. I still can't get the hang of it, and I've been using one for quite some time. It is increasingly difficult, particularly with something like this where you've got the foil as well as the resin. I tend to use it on things like photo frames, but yeah, I'm absolutely useless with it. The thing keeps spinning on the end, just can't get to grips with it, as you can see, but I just thought I'd show you anyway. I will pop the link for this one in the description. Everything is on my Amazon storefront. It doesn't cost you any more, but it just gives me a little bit of commission just to be able to put back into the channel. So once I've sanded it down with the electric one, I'm then getting sandpaper. So this is wet dry sandpaper. I think I started on about a 600, no, maybe a 400, and then went all the way up to 1,000, and then the 2,500, and then finished with the 5,000. So I do take this and do this separately, so I'm just showing you here. I didn't have any water to hand, so I was spraying alcohol, isopropyl alcohol, just to try and get the same effect. So you can see I'm just sanding this down. Now the whole purpose of this is that when you continually sand it with higher grades of sandpaper, the grooves that you've made through sanding it with the higher grit sandpaper, the lower grit sandpaper, sorry, that will then become smaller. You can see it's quite, what would I call it? It looks cloudy, but don't worry about that, because the minute you put resin on it, then that cloudiness disappears and it becomes clear again. So this is latex rubber. Again, link is in the description. I like to use this because it's easy to pull off afterwards. So I'm just pouring it into a little pot, because this stuff does go off quite quickly. And this one's relatively cheap, and I've had it for probably 18 months or more. So I was going to pop it on with these little ink pads, but I decided to put it on with a paintbrush. So I'm just getting the paintbrush. Now, first of all, I pour it onto the coaster. So make sure that your surface is level. I'm using some cups to bring it up off the surface so that the resin can do its thing. And you really do need a level surface when you do this, otherwise it just runs off the edge. So this is the good side that I'm doing at the minute. So I'm just literally pouring it on, letting it run all the way around. You can do it in thinner layers, but I just like to get it on and make sure that it's all coated. So I'm just taking it to the edges and then actually brushing it around the edges, because I don't want the resin dripping onto there, because resin tends to drip not straight off the edge, it goes under. So we want to try and prevent that. So by putting the latex on, if the resin then does seep underneath, then once you pull the latex off, the resin then comes off with it. So you need to make sure that there is a coat all the way around. And then you leave this to dry for about 5 or 6 hours because it's so thick. So do the same with all four. Just pop it on. Make sure it goes right to the edges and then paint the edges with the paintbrush. There are other things you can use, so PVA glue, but I find that sometimes when you pop PVA glue on and water, it tends to not come off as well. I've used Mod Podge. Again, I struggle to get that off. So I find that this is probably the easiest and most effective way. And cost effective as well, because the latex is, like I say, relatively cheap and it lasts ages. I mean, I'm still 3/4 of the way through the bottle and I've probably done 60-70 coasters or items. So I left this for about 11 hours, only because I left it overnight, and come back to it. So as you can see, this has gone clear. So we're now going to top coat the back. It is quite sticky, so it helps to stick to the cups, as you can see here. I nearly made an error and didn't turn that one round, but I did notice beforehand. There you go. That would have been a bit of a blooper moment. So I'm just pouring the resin into the middle. This resin has been sat for about 15-20 minutes just to thicken up a little bit. And the resin I'm using is the Craft Resins 1:1 ratio resin. I find it's really good for top coating as well as creating the items. So I'm just pushing it right to the edge with a silicone spatula, but not actually going off the edge, although it doesn't matter because you've got the latex. It's like an extra layer of security, knowing that you're not going to ruin them and have to do the bottom. So there is like an edge on this one, purely because it is the way that I've sanded it. So there is a rim, so it does stop it from going over the edge. I do suggest that when you're top coating things, you leave it for about 10 minutes after you've finished and then go back to it, because resin likes to pull in. So it does pull in through the edges. So just when you think you've got enough, if you was to leave it, guaranteed when you come back to it, you're going to have to do it again, because you're going to have the slight edge all the way around. So yeah, just a little bit of advice. Things that I wish I'd have known when I was first starting, because trust me, top coating was a nightmare for me for probably the first 6 months. I avoided it like the plague, and if I could get away with it, I did. But using this liquid latex, it makes things a lot simpler. Because as you know, if you've seen any other videos on my channel, I'm quite a messy worker. So yeah, I just did exactly the same on all 4 coasters, just pushing it to the edge. And then I like to get down at eye level and just have a look to see that it's all covered. But like I say, come back after about 10-15 minutes and make sure you've got a little bit of resin left, and then generally you've got to top it back up just a ever so slight bit. Right, so I just speeded this bit up for you because it's exactly the same thing, just double checking on all the coasters. You can see on this one where it's already started to pull in, so I've had to go back over it again. I did try and film when I did top it back up, but my battery died, so unfortunately that bit of footage was lost. Right, so this is just the extra coaster that I made. So this is just the foil bits that I cut the shapes round. I cut them into little chunks and decided that rather than top coat it and to put the liquid latex on the bottom, that there was just enough space for me to be able to pour a top coat. So this has got the foil and the clear resin and then a blue top coat going onto it to give it quite a dark base. But as you can see, there really wasn't enough room to play with, so I had to keep scraping it back off the edge of the mould and try and keep it in as much as possible. Generally, when you take them out of the mould, you can get rid of them little extra bits anyway. So this is the later that night, and they are now fully cured. Look how lovely they are. So I need to take the latex off. So you literally just pull it off. It comes off like a dream. And I mean, like a dream. I should have left the sound effects in really, but I had the baby chattering in the background. And it's so satisfying. There we go. And if there was any bits of resin, I think there was a little bit there, it come off with the latex. So you can see with the other coaster that I poured, there's just an extra little bit of a lip, which I just peeled off. But the shine on that, they're lovely. So you've now got perfect sides, both front and back, so it doesn't matter which way you can use them. And I will pop pictures at the end, and like I said, all my links are in my description. If you haven't already subscribed, if you could just hit that subscribe button for me, it is absolutely free and I'd really appreciate it. It helps push my channel out just a little bit, as I am a new channel. Back to the video. I'm just making sure that all that latex is off. So there were parts of these edges that I didn't like, not because the resin or anything hadn't gone onto them. It's just when I was sanding them, it did damage the foil a little bit. But like I say, it was intentional not to fill the mould up so that I could show you this process. I hope this video has been helpful. If there's anything else you'd like to see on my channel, just drop me a comment. I've been Tony from Georgie's Gorgeous Gifts, and happy crafting!